Good morning. I'm Pratap Singh Gaikwad and welcome to another edition of the Buggy Khana. This morning, we're at the Mercedes-Benz Classic Car Rally.
We've all gathered here today to celebrate class, sophistication, and all the cars that we love. And yes, this is the 10th edition of the Mercedes-Benz Classic Car Rally.
And as you can see, I'm participating with my 230 SL. Hope to take you guys through this event so that you get a flavor of what it feels like to participate. Welcome to the Buggy Khana and the Mercedes-Benz drive.
It's a beautiful Sunday. I think it's about 11 a.m. We're riding behind a 190 SL. So this is your pride and joy. This is your second car.
This definitely is. Yeah. I mean, this is a very special car to me. And what did you think about the turnout, the cars and the quality of the cars that you saw?
So it was one of the biggest collections of Mercedes-Benz I've seen. So I think there were 80 variants.
This is the 10th edition, and as you can see, they're all very passionate about their cars, you know, the quality of the cars.
Before this, you had a Reliant.
Yeah, my first car was a Dolphin, as they're called in India, a Sipani Dolphin, which was I think a offshoot of the Robin Reliant.
Upgraded from 3 wheels to 4. Then you took a big jump.
Then I took a big jump, as you can see.
So tell me about the history of this car.
So this car has been with us since the late 60s, early 70s. I have a lot of fond memories with her because my father, when I was a young boy, used to drop me to school. And growing up, when I was 18, 19, I sort of took over and she was my car.
This was the original color, or you changed it?
No, the original color was a dark blue with a dark blue leather interior.
And you've been restoring this now for a good period of time.
Yeah, so I mean it's been a running car. So but obviously with time and wear and tear, you know, they need to be restored. And I did a major restoration on her about 5 years ago, and she was restored by one of our leading car restoration people, plus an authority on vintage cars, Maharaja Manvinder Singh of Barwani. So, you know, she benefited from that restoration, which happened 5 years ago. And just 6 months ago, you know, some of the paint had some bubbling effects were there. So I repainted this car.
Interior, everything. You changed the color of the interior as well?
Yeah, so all this was done 5 years ago, the interior. Everything was done. The mechanical, she was, rebuilt mechanically. The cosmetics were done. Everything was done 5 years ago. It was a complete restoration project. Gorgeous car over here.
Thank you.
Could you tell us a little bit about this car?
So this is a 60s 220 AC Cabriolet. I'm told possibly the only one of its kind in the country, and in very good condition, desirable, I think possibly your car is more desirable.
I'm not sure about that.
But they're fun. They're usable cars and less finicky than a vintage car is.
Right.
Delighted to have one.
And this is our first time in the concourse, or is this?
No, this car has been actually taking part in this event for the last 4 years.
Right.
So every year.
But this is the first edition, so we have in the Maharaja class.
Yeah, so they've got a new class where, cars that belong to some of the erstwhile royal families are participating.
So we're following, there's a 300 SL.
Yeah, so that's a very famous car in India. I mean, it's the only one in India. One owner car, belongs to the Maharaja of Gondal.
And his father used to race that.
Yeah, yes. This car, I mean, was used the way it was intended. So it was raced in India in the good old days when they used to have a lot of racing in India, South India.
Famous for never coming second.
Famous for never coming second, yeah. Always won every race she took part in.
And then behind that we've got the 190 SL, the Jaipur.
Correct. So that's that car belongs to a friend, Mr. Poonawala. But originally this car was a Jaipur car, which I believe belonged to the late Maharani Gayatri Devi.
And hopefully we can cut to an amazing shot where the sun is just beautifully coming down. You see that amazing sort of light teal blue,
Right.
the original Jaipur colours.
Right.
And one thing that I was watching, unlike a classic car concourse, we are right in the middle of Sunday traffic. So we have...
And they don't give us an inch.
No.
Another gorgeous car from your stable. Could you tell us a little bit more about this car and some history?
Well, I acquired the car about 16 or 17 years back, and I really didn't know the history behind the car at that time.
Right.
So she occupied a not so prominent place in my garage for a very long time, until a few years back when I went into the details of the car and found out that the car was owned by none other than the Maharani Princess Gayatri Devi. So we are today in actually the Maharaja class, but this is the Maharani car. So as you can see, she's a 1958, and she's in the Jaipur State Blue and the maroony red interiors that came originally with the car.
Was this the original color of the car?
Yes. So we scraped the car down.
Right.
I mean, we did find out that it was in the shade of blue.
Right.
But when the car was scraped down, the blue was found underneath.
It's a stunning color for this car, and it's kind of unusual. I haven't seen another one in this color.
I think some of the Jaipur cars used to be in this famous Jaipur State Blue, as they call it. Yeah.
So she's moved up the ladder now, and I hope she's got a prominent place in the garage.
Absolutely. She is one of my favorites. She's one of Michelle's favorites.
So in terms of maintenance, how often do you get this thing out?
She just does a annual service. There's nothing else unless there's some part fails or something, but that rarely happens. She's in fact quite well built.
So we started off at the Taj in the Land's End this morning.
That's right.
I think we're about halfway through the...
Yeah, we're more than halfway. We went onto the ceiling. Now we're back entering Bandra from the ceiling. So it was a nice drive. We got to see the ceiling. We got to see Worli Sea Face, and pleasant drive. And it's good to see so many of these cars. All running well and being enjoyed by their owners.
Can you just talk a little bit about how over the past 20, 30 years you've just seen the level of restoration get higher and higher in India.
Yeah, absolutely. And I give a lot of credit to events like this, because when when they have an event like this and cars are showcased, they're always sort of raising the bar each year. So you see this year there'll be a new car restored, and you can see improvement from previous years. So this acts as quite a good catalyst towards even the restoration work that happens.
And all of these cars can't leave India.
Yes, yeah, these cars cannot leave India. They're here. But thankfully, earlier we couldn't import parts for cars like this, but today, we're allowed to import, and therefore, again, the ownership and the maintenance becomes far more easier.
And between those two categories of those who are keeping original parts and those who are making some slight amendments to the restoration,
Right.
so how many guys are just keeping everything original, or how many guys are making a few tweaks along the way?
I think most people right now, majority of the market is the restoration, where they are restoring the car, so repainting the mechanicals, everything. There is a small section of the community where they have these cars which are absolutely original and still on the first coat of paint when it left the factory. I think they call it the preservation class.
Yeah.
And I think there is a bit of momentum in that direction, and it makes a lot of sense. With the paint peeling, there's a little dent here. There's so many stories behind all of that. So it's quite interesting. I quite like the preservation class. Could you tell me a little bit more about this car? Any background to her?
So she's a 1969 Pagoda, but a California coupe.
Right.
So that makes her a bit different. In fact, a lot different. In that she doesn't have any convertible top. Instead of the compartment in which the convertible top would have gone in,
Right.
there are now seats. So you have a proper rear seat. Those were initially started by the dealers because somebody came and said, I want my grandchildren to sit there. The car, since it comes only with a removable hard top, when you don't have the top on, you have this tonneau cover, which sits like so, going over the steering wheel and anchoring across the car. When you are seated, you have this kind of a seating arrangement at the back, which is what makes it what is called a California coupe.
Correct.
When you are touring and you don't want seating, you just drop this and put bags here. That's
Wow.
that's the interesting part.
Very smart.
Yeah. That was the modification they made and called it the California. So if you sit with the seat a bit in front, at least a kid can put his or her feet in there. It makes sense. As per what I've read on the net, right-hand drive version of a California coupe, there are less than 100.
Very good.
International. So
Makes a lot of
makes
sense also, because I remember as a child,
Yes.
we were always sitting there.
Absolutely.
Had a seat.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
Wouldn't be that uncomfortable.
And you would sit horizontally and just trying to fit in somehow.
Absolutely. And how long have you?
I've had her for about 5 years now.
And the restoration, she's in immaculate condition.
She has just come out of restoration.
Right. And where did you?
So Jatin at Wagon Works
Right.
at Andheri, he's done.
Done an amazing
He's
job.
done an amazing job. He has. He most certainly has.
Stunning.
Very nice.
Stunning.
How do you see these amazing, meticulously cared for cars now come through to the modern day Mercedes-Benz? What are the differences?
There are obviously a lot of differences, but it's good to see that big manufacturers like Mercedes, Porsche, they do draw back to their history. They get draw inspiration, and they sort of carry on, keeping some of the old history in mind. So obviously this car and its younger siblings would be the new SLs that one sees. So
Particularly Mercedes-Benz has such a rich and illustrious history with India that Porsche doesn't have, just because of the longevity of the company.
and therefore Indians love Mercedes because again it's been there for the longest time. It's always been associated with quality, and it has a lot of aspirational values to it.
Family or a businessman, you still want a Mercedes.
Yeah, I think so. I think when you make it, I think a Mercedes would be the first one.
Yeah.
And then obviously go up, but Mercedes is the first one which sort of shows that
You've made it.
made it.
Yeah.
Right. The manufacturers obviously they create, you know, experiences for their owners.
Yeah.
So they'll have a driving experience, they'll do a trip from place A to B, or they'll arrange a track event. So that's what happens. But again, there are few events like this because this is an event actually created by Autocar,
Right.
the car magazine. They recognized earlier, because it's the 10th edition, that the Mercedes-Benz owners were extremely passionate. They were looking after these cars well, and therefore they, you know, created this platform.
And I think Autocar India is becoming a great portal for the world, just to get a sense of the rich car culture that you have in it.
Absolutely. And it's the people involved. You know, they've got Ormas Surabji there, they've got Perseus Mandrawala. You know, so the people who are associated and who are working behind the scenes, I mean, they drive what's happening, and Autocar is lucky to have, you know, passionate people like them. You know, put a lot of effort into curating events like this.
And it feels, you know, when you go into the concourse, it feels such a family event. I mean,
Yeah.
so it should. I mean, this was your father's car
Yeah.
originally.
Correct. Yeah, it's nice, and it's good to see, you know, young people there. It's good to see some of the stalwarts also, you know, who've got great collections and are extremely knowledgeable, participating, you know, all together and sharing ideas and, you know, appreciating each other's cars.
And I think what's evident when you go into a concourse is these are cars that are still being used on a daily basis.
Yeah. And that's important because you need to use these cars. If you just park them in the garage, then they don't work well. They're very temperamental. So, you know, regular use is always a good thing.
But in terms of maintenance on this, it's just a one.
Yeah, it's mainly servicing.
Yeah.
And there's something failed. It's all minor stuff. There's nothing. It's quite solidly built.
And there's some good specialists now here. And
Yeah, absolutely.
so we're now coming back to the Taj.
Back to the Land's End, where we will, I think they'll have some sort of ceremony and will serve us some lunch.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure, Harry. I hope you enjoyed the event. I hope you enjoyed the drive in my car.
Perfect. I look forward to edition 11.
Good. So it's a wrap from this year's Mercedes-Benz Classic Car Rally. I hope you guys enjoyed what we have had to show you, and I was able to give you a bird's eye view of participating in this great event. So thank you very much. Please do like, subscribe and share. That's it.
See you guys soon.
Bye.